Hi, boys and girls. All right, we're going to start our lessons on area, okay? So, we talked about perimeter, and we talked about how perimeter is the distance around. We talked about how that's like the ribbon on the bulletin board. Today we're going to talk about the gray on the bulletin board, right? The inside, okay? The area of a shape is how many units it takes to fill or cover the shape. We're going to think about a unit as one square, okay? Or one Cheez-It. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about, though, before we start talking about area, is I want to review arrays. Because an array, and what we've already learned about arrays, is going to help us to learn area. So if we go back to an array, and we think of an array for 4 times 3, okay? What we're talking about is 4 rows with 3 in each row, okay? So let's do 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And we're gonna do that 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? An array is just a visual way to show a multiplication problem with a picture, okay? So we know that we've got 4, 4, 4. You could do 4 plus 4 plus 4, or you could say there's 4 groups 3 times. 4, 8, 12. Okay, and we know that 4 times 3 is 12. Okay? All right, let's do one more of those. Let's do, what did I want to do next? Let's do 3 times 6. Or 6 times 3, of course. We know that we can switch those around. Okay? So we're talking about 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're talking about 3 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So we've got 6, 6, and 6. Or we could think of it this way. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3. Right? Okay. So that's what we know about an array. And we know that this turns into 3 times 6. You could think of it as a 3 6 times, or 6 3 times. Okay? Okay. Now what if we did that very same thing, but we used our Cheez-Its instead of dots? Okay? So we're going to do 2 times 4. Okay? Now I've got my Cheez-Its here. So I'm going to do 2. And I'm going to do that 4 times. And are you starting to notice that a shape is here? Right? Maybe you noticed this shape before, but now we can see it very clearly. And if I go ahead and draw it in, all of a sudden I have a rectangle, right? Now, if my rectangle was my bulletin board and I needed to know how much space or what the dimensions were of it so that I could buy something to cover it, like perhaps the gray felt, then what I need to know is how many units would it take to fill or to cover it. We're saying that 1 Cheez-It is the same as 1 unit, okay? So in this case, how many units would it take? Well, it would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Let's look at that back in terms of our array, okay? We would have 2, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, right? We wouldn't just have 2 once. We would have 2 4 times, okay? And what I wanted to show you here with the array is that you basically already know that in order to figure out area, we can use the length times the width. Okay? That's why this works to figure out the area, because we're talking about the width, which is the 2, and the length, which is the 4. And of course we could switch that around if we wanted to and go this way, right? And say that it was 4 times 2 or 2 times 4. Either way will work, because we're talking about how many pieces, how many units does it take to fill or cover that shape. It takes 2 4 times. 2, 4, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the area of this shape is 8. It takes 8 units to fill or cover this shape. So can you see why we waited to do area and perimeter until we understood multiplication? Because it is multiplication that helps you figure out how many units it takes to cover. Okay, so if we look at this and I say, what is the area of this shape? Okay, and I told you that this was 5, and I told you that this was 4. Would it make sense for us to just take the 5 and the 4 and add them up? Let's see, if we did that, it would look like this. It would be like saying, okay, we've got 5 units, by 4 units. And remember that we're trying to fill or cover our shape. Is our shape filled or covered? No. So we know that it's not adding these, because I only did 5 once and I did 4 once. I could say, or I did 4 once, right? I need to do 5 4 times, because I want to fill in all the rest of these. Or I would need to do 4 5 times. Okay? So that's why we can't add it. We have to multiply it, because we don't just want one of the spots on my bulletin board covered. We want all of them. So we got to figure out how many units we have going down the length, how many units we have for the width.